All right. So this is just a review of expanding and condensing right here, in case you forgot. So if we're adding the natural logs, when you condense it, they multiply together, right? And when you're subtracting the natural logs, you divide. Same with the log, not just natural log. And also, if you have an exponent right here, you can move it to the front, or if you have it in the front, you can move it to the exponent. Those are the rules of logs. So if you were going to solve x squared equals 49, this would be super easy. You would do the inverse, and you would take the square root, right? Yay. So that's what's called doing the inverse to solve. We're going to do the same thing here on number 2. I've condensed logs on both sides, and the inverse of a log is an exponential. Okay, so the way I want you to do this one is to exponentiate. I know you could just be like, x is 8, right? Everybody's like, yep, x is 8. Why do I have to do any work? But I want you to show the exponentiate step, which means I'm going to take 4 and raise it to this power, and 4 and raise it to this power. So if the base is 4, you're going to do 4 for that. And then you can say x equals 8, because that cancels with that, okay? All right, go ahead and write down number 3. All right, so this one's in exponential form. What's the inverse of an exponential function? A log. Log and exponentials are opposites, okay, or inverses. So what I want to do is, if this is a 10, we want to cancel the left-hand side. So I'm going to take the log with a base of 10 because of that 10, and I have to do the same thing to this side. And those should be written in front. All right, so I might want to actually write it as another step, just so you guys can see what's happening. All right, so this ends up canceling right here. Log base 10 of 10. So now I have negative 2x plus 2. That exponent is now right there. Technically, I could plug this in and get a decimal right here, right? But I want you to solve the whole thing and then plug it into your calculator. That way you don't get a rounding error. Okay? So the next step, I'm isolating x. The next step would be to subtract 2. Okay, all I did was move this 2 over here and subtract it. And then I'm going to divide by negative 2. Now, you guys all need to practice plugging this into your calculator, because you will make an error with parentheses if you're not careful, or you might, hopefully you don't. So let's plug this in. And if you don't have one, yeah, go grab one of mine. So the log function right here. Oh, hold on. Still in Smart Ink. So the first part, we've got log base 10 of 8. And then you need to make sure you get out of the parentheses, right? And I get out of the parentheses and I do minus 2. I probably should have done that fraction bar, but I'm just going to press enter here. That was the numerator. And now I'm going to divide by negative 2, and I get 0.548. Good. All right, you guys, go ahead and write down number 4. So this time we have e to the negative 2x plus 3 equals 5. E is still an exponential function, right? But what is e's inverse function? ln, or the natural log. So we are going to take the natural log of both sides. You will lose a point if you write it after the number, because it goes in front, right? It's like if you were to write the square root after, you would be a weirdo if you were like square root and square root. Nope, that doesn't mean anything, right? So you got to put it in the front. And then this cancels right here, and I get negative 2x plus 3 equals the natural log of 5. And then we just isolate x and then put the whole thing in your calculator all at one time. So, Corey, what's the next step? Yes, by doing what first? Okay, good. So I'm going to subtract 3. All right, and Dylan, what's the next step? Divide by -2. This time we're going to put the whole thing in at one time, unlike I did last time. I meant to do that. So you guys know where the fraction button is? It's above the divide key. Press the control divide key to get the fraction, and then you can plug it in all at once. So we've got the natural log, and everybody should be doing this with me. Okay, you got to get out of your parentheses here. That is very important. So ln of 5, then subtract 3. And then go down and you divide by -2. And Harrison, what did you get?
I got 0.695.
Okay, good. Good, good. 0.695. All right, go ahead and write this one down. So where most people mess up on this one is they start by taking the natural log of both sides because they see the e. However, you cannot do that until you do what? Yeah, you have to get rid of the 6. So you always isolate the exponential function first. And that exponential function meaning this e. So I'm going to divide by 6 and divide by 6. I'll go ahead and reduce that to 2/3. All right, and Evan, now what do I do to both sides? Yes, then you take the natural log. So I have the natural log, and you can use parentheses here of 2/3. This cancels, and I have 2x plus 3. Now we just solve algebraically. Stella, what's the next step? Yep, -3. And Aaron, what's the next step? Yep, divide by 2. And then plug that whole thing into your calculator. So all of you guys go ahead and try it. Y'all got it. Good. So everybody got -1.703. Lovely. All right, so number 6, go ahead and write that one down. 5 to the 2x minus 1 equals 6 to the x minus 2. So is this in exponential or in log form to start with? Yeah, this is exponential, so we do the inverse to both sides. However, you want to pick one of them to cancel. So I'm going to log both sides, but you're either going to do log 5 or log 6. And I want you guys to, just so we're consistent, always get rid of whatever is on the left-hand side. So I'm going to do log base 5 on both sides. And I should probably actually just rewrite a whole new step here so you can see what this actually looks like. All right, so on this side, it's really easy because that cancels, and I get a 2x minus 1. But on the right-hand side, we need to do some extra math. What happens to this exponent? What is something I can do with it to get it out of the exponent? Yeah, you need to move it into the front. And I would put some parentheses around that. Now I'm actually going to distribute the log base 5 of 6 to what used to be in the exponent. So I have 2x minus 1, and I'm going to distribute it. The x goes in front, okay? Put the x in front. So log base 5 of 6, and put the 2 in front right here, minus 2 log base 5 of 6. Evan. It wouldn't help you isolate the x, because we need to get all the x's on one side. So don't do that. Okay. All right, now what I need to do is get all my x's on one side. So see how this has an x term and this has an x term. Those are friends. They need to be on one side. And then this doesn't have an x, so it needs to move over to this guy's side because it doesn't have an x. So I have the 2x. I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to move this over. So it's going to become a minus x log base 5 of 6. I am also going to move this 1 over to this side. So it was a negative 1. I'm moving it over. Now it's a positive 1. And I'm keeping this here, negative 2 log base 5 of 6. So I moved it, so I grouped the x's and grouped everything else. Now I need to solve for x. What do you think we should do here? Factor out an x. Okay, and that gives me 2 minus log 5 of 6. And then I can solve for x by dividing by that whole thing. By the way, if this is ever on the no calculator part of the test, which it could be, you would leave your answer in this crazy long thing, okay? So now we're going to plug this whole thing in to our calculators. So you want to press the Control Divide button so that you can plug in the whole entire thing, which was -2 log base 5 of 6 plus 1 all over 2 minus log base 5 of 6. And we get -1.383. All right. I know, we're just going to see if we got this, because I'm worried. I know some of you guys got this, but some of you don't. So I'm going to just call on you, and you're going to tell me what to do, and I'll know if you know it, okay? So I'm going to go in order. Don't freak out if you don't know it. It's okay. All right. So you guys, here we go. We've got exponential form. So we need to take the log of both sides. And Hannah, we should do the log of what base? Yep. We're all going to always cancel this side. So we're going to do the log of base 2 on both sides. Yes. Yes, but don't do that just in case that can't happen. But yes, you can do that. You can change the 4 to a 2 squared, but don't, because just in case I made this a 3. Maybe I should just change it. All right, I'm going to leave it like this. All right, we'll make this a 3 so that you can't do that. So it's log base 2 of 3, and then this guy is still in the exponent here. All right, so Jake, what would be the next step that we should do on this side? Exactly. And add some parentheses. So I'm moving that whole entire exponent to the front. And then, Kelsey, what should I do to this right-hand side? Yep, we're going to distribute this to this and this to this. So I have x minus 1 equals. This just goes in the front. So it's 3x log base 2 of 3. And then the 2 goes in the front. 2 log base 2 of 3. Okay, and then Anna, what would the next step be? Yep, we got to get x alone, and before we can get alone, we got to get them all on the same side. So I'm going to move this guy over to here. So I'm keeping this x, and now I have a minus 3x log base 2 of 3. And at the same time, I need to move this 1 over to this side so that I can get only my x's. All right, Thomas, what's the next step? Okay, factor out the x. So I have a 1 minus 3 log base 2 of 3. Excellent. And Carson, what's the next step? Yep. So I'm going to divide by that whole thing, 1 minus 3 log base 2 of 3. And then plug it in and get an answer. Okay, everybody good? Let's try one whiteboard problem. Yeah, sorry.